What can that be? Anybody?
Referring to the ayahs which are cancels, is it?
What he said?
Referring to the ayahs that were abrogated or cancelled.
Okay, anybody else? No, not I mean. Hisham, you are with us, huh?
Yes, I am.
I'm going to teach you to recite this Quran. And when I teach you to recite this Quran, you will not forget what I teach you, except that which I want you to forget. What can that be? Answer. That part of the Quran that he's hearing every Ramadan, which has not as yet come down as wahi. Allah wipes it off from his memory. So that next year when the Quran is being recited again, the whole Quran, and he listens, it'll be as though he's listening it for the first time. This is the explanation of this verse, Surah Al-A'la. Now then, why are the long surahs at the beginning? And why are there 6 long surahs? Al-Baqarah, Ali Imran, An-Nisa, Al-Ma'idah, Al-An'am, and Al-A'raf. Why are there 6 long surahs at the beginning of the Quran? And why at the end of the Quran they're all very short surahs? Why? The answer is to be found in the question. That the month of Ramadan commences with the Hilal. And what is the Hilal? Don't ask the Saudi government, please, because you're going to get a bogus answer. The Hilal is the crescent moon that you can see in the sky. That is the Hilal. In the same way that a baby is born, only when the baby has left the mother's body, that is birth. So too, a moon is born only when it is naturally visible. But the Saudis differ. They say, no, the baby is already born once the baby is conceived. You don't have to wait 9 months for the baby to leave the mother's body for the baby to... This is the bogus Saudi explanation. So a moon is already born. Once it is mathematically or scientifically born, a moon is already born. You don't have to wait for it to be naturally visible. And so the Hajj is taking place every year at the wrong date. It's a bogus Hajj, and one wonders why is the world of Islam so silent on the subject. You make noise, plenty noise, if they burn the Quran in Denmark. And you are so silent when the Hajj is taking place on the wrong day. And so now, this is the definition of Hilal. So the moon is seen and the Ramadan has begun. And we know that when Ramadan begins, it's a night time. That's why you have Salatul Taraweeh. And the next day you will have the fast. The night comes before the day. So now if Allah is to recite the whole Quran in Ramadan, then he'll have to recite one portion every night to complete the whole Quran in 1 month. That portion is called a juz, and the plural of juz is ajza. Except the Farsi language of Iran, they call it sipara. So what is the first juz? The moon is seen, and Allah will now commence the recitation of the Quran every year. So what will He recite on the first night? When He has said, I have separated this Quran into surahs for the purpose of qira'ah, recitation. Answer, there is only one answer. Only one. And that is on the first night, Allah will recite, of course, Surah Al-Fatiha and the whole of Surah Al-Baqarah. Does anyone differ? Does anyone differ?
Nope.
Does anyone differ? MashaAllah, we have a good audience tonight. The whole world of Islam today differs. The whole world of Islam says, no. The first juz is like you take a cloth and a tailor with a scissors, and you cut the Quran into 30 equal parts. And the first juz is Surah Al-Baqarah until verse 141, chop. Chop. And the second juz is from 141 until 252, chop. The whole world of Islam, everybody doing that. And we say that's wrong, that's bogus. On the first day you have to recite the whole of Al-Baqarah. So why did he put long surahs at the beginning and short surahs at the end? Anybody? If the brothers can't answer, we'll have to ask the sisters, you know.
To build up stamina for the coming
Yes.
days.
What is it?
To build up stamina to stand for that long for coming days.
To build up your stamina for the coming days.
Yes. Allah wants you to be strong when the moon is young. When the moon is young, He wants you to be young and strong. So build your power and begin the month with the best effort you can. And when the moon is old, and the month is old, and you are tired, then He gives you short surahs to make it easy. And so now I have to use a big word. It's a big word. The surahs of the Quran are organized in synchrony with the moon, in order that by reciting the Quran the correct way, you will be living with the moon. And Allah says about the moon that I have created the moon for you and given to it its stages of growth and stages of decline. لِتَعْلَمُوا عَدَدَ السِّنِينَ وَالْحِسَابِ, that you might be able to use the moon for counting the years and for computing time. So when anybody asks me, how old are you? I answer and I say, 84 by the moon. Because Allah says, I gave you the moon to count the years, not the sun, the moon. By the sun I'm 82, but Allah says, I gave you the moon to count the years. How many people on the face of the earth today? How many? When you ask them what is their age, would give you an answer based on the moon. Less than 0.01%. Huh? Am I correct? Huh?
Unless it refers to the birth date of Rasulullah's age, people quoted at 63 years, which is 63 lunar years.
The Quran says, I gave you the moon to count the years. The Quran says, I gave you the moon to count the years. And this, therefore, is sacred time. And here is the evidence staring us in our faces that we have all abandoned sacred time. All. Because when you ask, what is your age? Everybody will give their age according to the solar time. Everybody. All right? And so now, the reason why there are long surahs at the beginning of the Quran and short surahs at the end is because the surahs of the Quran are synchronized with the moon. Big word. Next question. On the first day, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Baqarah. On the second day, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Ali Imran. On the third day, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Nisa. On the fourth day, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Ma'idah. On the fifth day, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-An'am. And on the sixth day, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-A'raf. 6 long surahs. So what happens on the seventh day? Answer, something strange. On the seventh day, there is a short surah. Surah Al-Anfal is short compared to the others. Why is Al-Anfal a short surah on the seventh day? Why? And the surah which comes after Al-Anfal is a unique surah of the Quran. It is the only surah of the Quran which does not begin with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Is this by accident?
No.
Why the seventh day, these strange things? Why? Answer. In the previous Sharia, Allah gave them the law of the Sabbath to commemorate the 6 days of creation. And the system of time which came from Allah commenced with the 6 days of creation. So on the seventh day, He prohibited them from working. They can rest and they can pray, but they cannot work. And in one surah of the Quran, Allah tells us He tested them on that seventh day. Because He stopped the fish from coming every day of the week. And only on the Sabbath day the fish came. And they were tested. They're not supposed to fish on the Sabbath day. But they went fishing. They went fishing. And then Allah cursed them for having violated the law of the Sabbath. And He said, Kunu kiradatan khasi'in, be apes, be bandar, apes, despised. But a human being cannot be transformed into a monkey. Allah would not do that. He says, La tabdila li khalqillah. Allah's creation does not change. So how could He say, be apes, despised? Answer, you are now cursed to become a people who will eventually live like monkeys. Monkeys are naked, they don't wear clothes. But there's nothing despicable about that. But these are a people who will eventually show a preference for public nakedness. Monkeys do their bedroom life in public, but there's nothing shameful about that. That's their way of life. But these are a people who will eventually engage in sexual relations in public. That is kunu kiradatan khasi'in, be apes despised, because they violated the law of the Sabbath. So if there is a law of the Sabbath in the previous Sharia to commemorate the 6 days of creation, what do we have? What do we have to commemorate the 6 days of creation? There are those who say that knowledge is a package. It's already sealed. And all we have to do is to transfer it from one generation to another. There's no room for thinking. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Knowledge is a package. It's already sealed and completed. And all we have to do is to transfer the box from one generation to another. There is no need for thinking. Well, then why did Allah say, I have sent the Quran to people who think? And why it is that Allah has condemned? He says, Inna sharrad dawab, the worst people in the sight of Allah, Summun bukmul ladhina la ya'kiluna, people who are deaf and dumb and they don't think. This is in the Quran. So we have to think. They can bark as much as they want, but we have to think. What is there in this Sharia to commemorate the 6 days of creation? That's the question. If this was so important in the previous Sharia that Allah cursed them, what do we have to commemorate the 6 days of creation? And this is my answer. And Allah knows best. That Allah has given us 6 long surahs at the beginning of the Quran. Not by accident. Because these 6 long surahs correspond to the 6 days of creation. So every month, when the month begins, the heart is returning to the beginning of sacred time. You are